Do you want to find the perfect artist manager for your career? Do you feel like it's kind of crazy trying to find one and the chances of actually finding a successful manager to help you out with your difficult music career seems out of reach? Well, what if I told you I have a system that will help you find that perfect manager and get you moving forward in your music career and setting some clear, definite goals? That's what this video is about. Stick around and I'll show you exactly how. Before we dive in, I want to say I have a free single release checklist. This is my 6-week checklist that will help you release your next single with ease, growing your music career and gaining new fans at the same time. To download that, just go to elevatedmusic.co/checklist. That's elevatedmusic.co/checklist. All right, so here I am, and I'm going to show you guys on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on our podcast, you can follow along as well. But basically, I have an artist who is similar to me in my sound and would have a similar fan base. So the first thing we're going to do is find an artist that you could share fans with. Say someone that you would possibly open up a show for. You don't want them to be super, super big, but like Taylor Swift or something like that, but more like a couple levels above you of where you aspire to be in your music career. For me, that person is Sarah Jarosz. If you don't know her, she's a phenomenal folk and bluegrass musician. And so I just have her website pulled up here, and I'm going to go over to the contact section of the website. And just like that, you're going to see that the manager is Emily Lichter, and it has public Emily Artist Management. I click on that, and it will actually pull up her email, which I'll blur that out for privacy reasons, but you can actually just find her email right online like that. So that is the best way to find potential managers, is to simply just go to an artist that's similar to you and then write up an email. Now, the email itself is kind of the tricky part. So let me show you next what that looks like. All right, so this is actually from a blog post that I posted on elevatedmusic.co. You guys can go ahead and go to elevatedmusic.co and click on the blog button if you want to read this. But basically, I've crafted a email, and it says, "Hi, Jim." Let's just say the manager is Jim. "I'm a big fan and admirer of Sarah Jarosz. I'm an artist similar in style to her, based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and I wanted to learn more about what you look for in an artist so I can set some clear goals for my own music career." This is a big ask, but it's also very humble and has a lot of humility with it, and that's kind of what we're going for. And what are 3 things an artist must have in place for you to even consider working with them? I know you are very busy, so I really appreciate you even taking the time to read this. Thank you so much for the advice, and I hope one day we may have the chance of working together. Best, Wilson Harwood, and then your artist website or something like that, so they could take a deeper dive if they want to. So this is basically just asking for advice, which is the goal with these outreach emails. You want to come across as someone who's willing and eager to learn, who's smart, who's driven, something that will show them that you're different from every other artist who probably just cold emails them and says, "Hey, will you manage me? I'd love to work with you." So you want to figure out why they would want to manage you. And usually it's probably going to have something to do with income, number of fans, and enough markets that you can sell tickets in, so that when they work with you, they know that they can make a good living, living off a percentage of your career income. So I recommend crafting this email in something like Word. It can get kind of tricky if you just fire these emails off, and you want to be able to change it over time and have it saved somewhere so you can easily go back and edit it. And then another thing I would say is to eventually set up an Excel sheet if you start reaching out to a lot of managers, because it can get a little crazy very quickly. We'll talk more about organization a little later in this. The next thing I want to do is reaching out to one artist is going to be really tricky because you might not hear back from them. You can follow up maybe 2 or 3 times, but I really wouldn't spam someone a bunch of times. If they don't answer your email, it's kind of like, okay, let's just try something else. So that's where I say go and find some other artists. So let me show you a great technique for finding more artists. And this is actually just using Spotify. So if I open up Spotify and I go into my search, and I can find Sarah Jarosz. So I'll just type in Sarah Jarosz and it'll pull her up, and I'll click on her artist profile. And then what I want to do is I just want to scroll down to where it says fans also like, and then I'm going to click the See All button on the upper right-hand corner there. And Spotify has created 20 artists that are similar to Sarah and who share a fan base with her. For you, whatever your fan base like or your artist you chose is, you're probably going to notice a lot of the other artists that fans also like, and that's a good sign. That means you are in the right sort of genre and community of artists. So what I can do is click on each one of these, or I can just start typing in any of these artists. For example, Sarah Watkins is another fairly successful bluegrass musician, and you could just click on her website. So we can type in Sarah Watkins, scroll down to her website, and then same thing, we can go up in the upper right hand corner and click contact, and you'll see that her management is right there, Aaron Sawyer with Hannah Boren at 888 Management. So again, you could send out another email to them and follow up, see if you get a reply. If not, no big deal. Just move over to, Crooked Still. I know they're not really a band that's playing a lot like the Be Good Tanyas. Let's see them. So we could go again and type in the Be Good Tanyas and then find their website. And then their website has a little contact page, and look, their management is right there, Mandy Wheelwright. It's got a telephone number. It's got an email address as well. So these people are really, putting themselves out there to be contacted. You could even cold email Mandy, which would take a lot of guts, but I highly recommend doing it. And just keep on reaching out to as many artists as you can. This can go even different because now, for example, once we reach out to all the 20 artists that Sarah has, we can reach out to even more here. Go to fans also like for the Be Good Tanyas, and we'll see there's a whole nother list. There might be some overlap, but I guarantee you're probably going to get even more artists out here. And, reaching out to Lucinda Williams Management, she's massively famous in Nashville here and around the world. That's going to be a little trickier. Mary Gauthier, yes, also pretty successful, but, it can't hurt. Gillian Welch, yeah, I might skip her. She's pretty successful. So looking for artists that are potentially a little bit in the smaller realm, but still, where you want to be. You can always look at their monthly listeners. The Waylon Jennings have about 400,000. That's not like absurd. If we went back to Gillian Welch, she's going to have 700,000 monthly listeners. I thought she'd have more. But you get the point. You can try to find artists that are in that sweet spot where you could potentially also work with their manager. Now, I had briefly talked about organization here as well. So you can see as you reach out to a ton of artist managers, you're probably going to get overwhelmed, and it's easy to get screwed up when you're emailing a ton of people. You might email the wrong person and all these things, and it can get really messy really quickly. So what I recommend doing is like going to something like Google Excel. So we could try opening up an Excel file. Any spreadsheet will work like this. I like using Google Sheets, but you could use Excel or any other program that you like. And you could just simply, create some titles like name of agency, their name. You might want to put in their email, like a phone number maybe, last date contacted. And then you might put in like a notes section as well. And what this is going to do is it's going to keep track of everything that you're doing with all these people you're reaching out to. Let's say you reach out to 50 people. You could have it all here in a spreadsheet, last date contacted, keep up with it. Now, this is kind of an old school way of doing it. The other option to stay super organized is to use something called a CRM, or a customer relations management software. And if that sounds fancy and overwhelming, it shouldn't be, because it's actually an extremely useful tool. I like to use one called HubSpot. HubSpot is free. It's pretty good on the free level, so you could use that to get started if you want to experiment with a CRM. What they do is they essentially organize all your emails. You can create contacts. Basically, it's a whole piece of software that will organize everything we just did in that spreadsheet in a much cleaner, nicer way. And it will help remind you with follow-ups and give you tasks to do every day to follow up to certain people on regular intervals. Another really popular one is called Dubsado, which you can look into. I've heard good things about it. Dubsado is a business management solution. And a third one, just to do some research with out there is called Pipedrive. And Pipedrive is, we'll click on their ad, just give them a little money. So Pipedrive will also help you. I hear it's a really good one. I've never used it personally, but that's another option if you want to pay for a CRM. So just remember, again, the point is to go to your favorite artist or an artist that shares fans with you that you look up to, and then start to work backwards and find as many management companies as you can that will help you potentially with answering that question of what can I do now in my music career to get me to a place where you will look at me as someone that you would possibly work with. You know, you might only get 1 or 2 answers out of 50 emails, but hey, that's better than nothing, and it will build a relationship that will help your music career. So I hope you now have some skills that will help you find that ideal music manager. By doing this, I think you'll find that you'll focus your career path, set some clear goals that now have been defined by reaching out to potential music managers. You've also gotten an idea of who's in the industry, who are the big name managers that you want to actually associate yourself with. You might even have met your potential future music manager and have created a relationship where you could even ask them out to lunch down the road, or at least have someone that you can ask advice about. Most importantly, I would say try to build these relationships slowly, stay humble, and realize that this is a marathon, not a sprint. So make sure to just cultivate these relationships over time, reach your goals, and then reach back out to these music managers when you feel ready so that you guys can grow even further together. All right, like I said before, I do have that single release checklist. If you are releasing a new single and want to release it with ease, check it out. It's a 6-week process. I've laid it all out for you, so there's nothing you have to overthink. It's very simple. Just follow along. To download that, you can go to elevatedmusic.co/checklist. That's elevatedmusic.co/checklist. All right, I'll see you all next week.